The years 2023 and 2024 marked a significant turning point in President Biden's tenure, a period that would define the latter half of his presidency. While the first half of his presidency had been dominated by the COVID-19 pandemic and its economic fallout, which saw unprecedented lockdowns and a struggling economy, the latter half saw a different set of challenges emerge, ones that were equally complex and multifaceted. These challenges centered on concerns about Biden's age and cognitive fitness, particularly as the 2024 election cycle approached, raising questions about his ability to lead the nation effectively. Whispers of these concerns, once confined to conservative media circles, began to surface among Democrats and even within the president's own cabinet, creating a ripple effect that could not be ignored. The narrative surrounding Biden's presidency shifted from one of experienced leadership to one clouded by doubts about his capacity to govern effectively, a shift that was palpable in the media and public discourse. The public, already attuned to Biden's age as the oldest ever president, became increasingly sensitive to gaffes and moments of apparent confusion, scrutinizing his every move. The media too began to scrutinize Biden's every move, parsing his words and actions for signs of decline, adding to the growing narrative of doubt. This period of heightened scrutiny coincided with growing frustration among some members of Biden's cabinet, who felt increasingly marginalized. These officials, tasked with leading their respective departments, found themselves increasingly sidelined, their access to the president limited, which only fueled their concerns. This lack of access fueled concerns that Biden was being shielded from dissenting voices, and that his inner circle was tightly controlling the flow of information to and from the Oval Office, creating an echo chamber. As the 2024 election drew closer, the questions surrounding Biden's fitness for office only intensified, becoming a central issue in the political discourse. The stakes were high, and the pressure on Biden to demonstrate his vitality and mental acuity was immense, as the nation watched closely. The stage was set for a contentious election, one in which Biden's age and cognitive abilities would become central issues, shaping the future of American politics. Behind the scenes, a sense of unease began to permeate the halls of power in Washington. The atmosphere was thick with tension, as whispers of discontent grew louder among the ranks of the administration. Cabinet members responsible for critical areas of governance found themselves increasingly unable to secure face time with the president. The once open-door policy seemed to have vanished, replaced by a wall of inaccessibility. Meetings were canceled or postponed, phone calls went unanswered, and requests for policy discussions were met with silence or deflection. The frustration was palpable, as vital issues remained unaddressed. This lack of access was not merely a matter of logistical inconvenience. It struck at the heart of effective governance. Without direct communication, the ability to make informed decisions was severely compromised. Cabinet secretaries felt hamstrung, unable to effectively communicate their concerns, seek guidance, or receive clear direction from the president. The sense of being sidelined was growing, and with it, a feeling of helplessness. The president, they feared, was becoming isolated, his decisions influenced by a small coterie of advisors who were increasingly seen as out of touch with the realities facing the nation. This inner circle seemed to shield him from the broader perspectives needed for balanced decision-making. Concerns about Biden's cognitive abilities, once whispered in hushed tones, began to surface more openly. The whispers turned into conversations, and the conversations into debates about the future of the administration. Cabinet members, privy to private meetings and confidential briefings, witnessed first-hand moments of apparent confusion, forgetfulness, and difficulty following complex discussions. These incidents were no longer isolated but becoming alarmingly frequent. These observations, coupled with the president's increasingly limited schedule and curtailed public appearances, fueled anxieties about his capacity to handle the demands of the presidency. The public too began to notice the change, adding to the pressure. The president's diminished presence, both physically and mentally, created a leadership vacuum within the administration. The corridors of power felt emptier, the sense of direction more elusive. Cabinet secretaries, accustomed to working closely with the president, found themselves adrift, lacking the clear direction and decisive leadership they needed to effectively manage their departments. The chain of command was fraying. The result was a sense of drift and uncertainty, a palpable feeling that the ship of state was veering off course. The administration's ability to navigate the complex challenges ahead seemed increasingly in doubt. At the center of this growing crisis of confidence was the president's inner circle, a tight-knit group of advisors who exerted considerable control over his schedule, his interactions, and the information he received. These advisors were not just managing his time, but also acting as gatekeepers to the president. These gatekeepers, fiercely loyal and protective of the president, were seen by some as shielding him from the realities of his own administration. They were often perceived as a barrier rather than a bridge. Cabinet members complained that their attempts to communicate with the president were often stymied by these gatekeepers. Their frustration grew as they felt their voices were being drowned out. Meetings were canceled or rescheduled at the last minute, often without explanation. This unpredictability made it difficult for cabinet members to plan and execute their duties effectively. Phone calls went unreturned, and emails languished in inboxes. The lack of communication created a sense of disconnection and inefficiency. When meetings did occur, they were often tightly scripted affairs, with little opportunity for genuine dialogue or debate. This rigidity stifled creativity and open discussion. This tight control over the flow of information raised concerns that the president was not receiving a full and accurate picture of the challenges facing the nation. The information was often filtered and curated. Cabinet secretaries worried that their concerns were being filtered, their perspectives ignored, and their voices silenced. They felt increasingly marginalized in the decision-making process. The result, they feared, was a president increasingly isolated from the realities of his own administration. This isolation was seen as a significant barrier to effective governance. The role of the president's inner circle in limiting access to him and controlling the information he received became a source of growing resentment and frustration within the administration. Staff members felt their efforts were being undermined. Cabinet secretaries felt marginalized, their expertise undervalued, and their voices unheard. This sense of exclusion was demoralizing and counterproductive. This sense of alienation contributed to a growing perception that the Biden presidency was adrift, lacking the clear direction and decisive leadership needed to navigate the challenges facing the nation. The administration appeared disorganized and uncertain. In this segment, we take a deeper look into the inner workings of the Biden administration. What are the dynamics at play? How do decisions get made? And who are the key players? Join us as we pull back the curtain on the complexities and challenges faced by the president and his team. Allegations have surfaced, raising questions about the administration's integrity and efficiency. How have the key figures responded? What defenses have been put forward? We'll explore the official statements and the broader implications of these responses. Stay with us as we unravel the multifaceted reactions to these serious claims. The demands of the presidency are immense, requiring not just intellect but also physical and mental stamina. How does President Biden measure up, given his age? We'll delve into the concerns and the evidence, examining how age and health factor into the ability to govern effectively. It's a crucial topic that can't be overlooked. To understand the full picture, we turn to the sources and methodology behind the revelations in. How was the information gathered? Who were the key informants? And what steps were taken to verify the claims? This segment will shed light on the rigorous process behind the investigation, ensuring that the findings are both credible and comprehensive.